Lecture 8, Outcrop Trace of a Plane. The outcrop trace of a plane is the intersection of the plane with the topography of the surface of the Earth. The plane intersects the topography wherever the structural contours of the plane have the same elevation than the topographic contours. Let's look at the example from the previous lecture. These are the structure contours of the upper and lower coal seams. Let's determine the outcrop traces of these seams. To solve this problem, we need to trace more structure contours as shown here. In the figure, the interval between adjacent structure contours is 50 meters. Let's focus on the upper seam. To find the outcrop trace of this seam, we need to find the locations where the structure contours of the seam, the continuous lines, have the same elevation than the topographic contours, the dashed lines. These locations are the red circles in the figure. We can then join the red circles to reconstruct the outcrop trace of the upper seam. Notice that when doing this, and especially in areas where the trace closes, you need to think about the elevation of the structure contour in relation to the ground. If the structure contour is above or below the ground, the plane will not outcrop there and the trace will not be present. Do the same at home to complete the trace of the lower coal seam. Now, let's look at the solution to this problem using linear algebra. First, we need a digital elevation model of the ground or DEM. This is a grid of points with east, north, and up coordinates, and regularly spaced in east and north. These are the blue points in the figure. These points can be easily identified by rows I and columns j. For example, the point ij. A point 2 rows to the north of this one will have coordinates I plus 2, j. And a point 2 columns to the east will have coordinates I, j plus 2. Now, suppose the plane outcrops at a point with north, east, and up coordinates. This is the yellow point in the figure. At this point, we also know the strike and dip of the plane. We can compute the pole, p, coordinates of the outcrop point. We can also compute the p coordinate at every point of the grid. We can compute the difference in p coordinates between the outcrop point and the points of the grid. We will call this difference delta p. The plane outcrops where delta p is 0. Therefore, to draw the outcrop trace of the plane, we just need to contour the 0 value of delta p. We will implement this method in class using Python, and solve this problem, the outcrop trace of the upper and lower seams. To better understand this part, please read these sections from Reagan and our Computational Geosciences resource. And answer these questions.